Low carb and keto aren't the same? Welcome back, Keto Clan. We're talking about the differences between keto and low carb. Now, a lot of people think that these are the same just because keto is a low carb diet, but there are some subtle differences here, and these are really important differences. So first, let's go ahead and talk a little bit in review as to what keto is. Keto typically is going to be under 50 total carbs in a day. Now, obviously, some people can manage a little bit more when you start taking away net carbs and stuff like that, but typically 50 total carbs is in general what your body needs to trigger the metabolic change to use ketones for energy. And then obviously it's high fat, moderate protein, and that makes up our ketogenic macros, so to speak. And then low carb is actually more in the range of under 100 to 150 carbs. A low carb dieter doesn't count net carbs. It doesn't matter where the carbs come from. Every carb is counted, and it's under 100 to 150. Now, this is also a high fat, moderate protein diet, so they definitely look similar. What are the real differences here? So first off, in a true keto diet, the overall purpose of it is to get your body into the state of ketosis, using fat and the lower carb to trigger the metabolic state of ketosis where we are using fat for energy. That doesn't happen on a low carb diet. Low carb, your carbs are low enough to where you are going to see some benefits, you are going to see some weight loss, but you never actually trigger ketosis. You're just taking in too many carbs, so your body still has that pool of glucose. So in the keto lifestyle, your results are measurable. You can use a breath meter, you can use a blood meter, the blood ketone meter, and you could see that what you're doing is working. You could see that your body is producing ketones. So that makes it a lot easier for us to know that we're doing well. That's also the basis of the Dragon Keto system, where we're using those numbers to test different foods and what we can eat, how it makes us feel, what it does to our glucose levels if you're diabetic and you're testing your glucose levels, what it does to our ketone levels, whether it raises them or lowers them over the course of a couple of days. We know if we can introduce a new food for our particular body. That's not anything that you could really do on the low carb diet because there's no real measurable anything unless you're measuring your body circumference and weight, which can take months and months and months for you to see if you're actually doing anything right or need to change anything. So now we're going to go into a little bit more of the pros and cons of both the keto and the low carb diet. But first, if you're getting value out of my video here or any of my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you see the notification button, go ahead and hit that so you're notified every time I make a new video. I did want to let everybody know I just completed making our merch store. I call it the swag store, the Keto Dragon swag store, right? That link's going to be down in the description. Definitely check it out. If you see something that you like, pick it up. You're definitely going to help me keep making videos like this. You're going to support my goal of helping as many people take their life back as possible. And also, with that said, go ahead and share this video out to anybody that you need. Remember, we do still have that contest going that you could get yourself your very own breath ketone meter as soon as we hit 100 subscribers and you have commented on any of our videos. We're randomly going to choose somebody who is a subscriber who has commented on one of our videos, and you will get a free breath ketone meter. So with all that said, let's get into these pros and cons. So I already kind of touched on them a little bit. With keto, you can measure your results, okay? Also, in keto, you get into ketosis. And watch any of my other videos. I'll go ahead and link a couple of them up here. But being in the metabolic state of ketosis is such a wonderful thing. You have energy for days. You could be ready to pass out and you could still just get up and go run a mile. It's crazy the amount of energy that you have once you're in ketosis. Your brain prefers the ketones for energy, so you're going to have clarity of thought. You're going to be able to remember things better. You're going to be able to hold on to that train of thought that much better. Not to mention the anti-inflammatory properties and all the other things that we've talked about before. So the cons. Now, the cons compared to low carb is you are more restricted in the carbs that you can eat. Typically, you don't eat potatoes. There's just too many carbs in a potato. Typically, you don't eat corn. There's just too many carbs in corn to keep us in that range where we are staying in ketosis. Now, some people may be able to handle them better than others, and your keto might be able to include those. I know mine can't. Also, there is your portion size. So if you really want a little bit of potatoes in your omelet, you could cube them up real small and just keep the portion size really small. But those are restrictions that you don't necessarily have on a low carb diet. The pros of a low carb diet are exactly the opposite of the cons of the keto diet. Is you can indulge in these higher carbohydrate foods every once in a while and still be in your low carb goals. So as long as you don't go crazy and eat an entire bowl of mashed potatoes, you're still low carb. You could have corn and some French fries with your lettuce wrapped burger, and you're still okay on your low carb diet. Now, the cons of our low carb diet is, one, you're never actually getting into ketosis. So all the amazing benefits of being in the ketogenic metabolic state are just not there. Also, because you're not in the ketogenic metabolic state, you're still running off of glucose, and you're limiting how much glucose you're taking in. So you're essentially running your gas tank on an eighth of a tank all day. A lot of people that follow the low carb diet, and actually a lot of the people that you hear bad mouthing the keto diet, never actually got into ketosis. They were doing low carb, they had no energy, they had headaches, they were getting dizzy, all the negative side effects and all the effects that you might have felt during your small period of keto flu while your body was transitioning. If you're running your tank constantly on an eighth of a tank, it's just, you're never going to have the energy to really do what you need to do, or have the explosive energy that we could have being in ketosis. So those are kind of the pros and cons there. Now, is there a place for low carb, even within the Dragon Keto system? Yes, there is. So in the Dragon Keto system, there are, I don't want to call them belts like martial arts belts, right? But there's a graduation system, okay? In the beginning, it's your testing phase. You're figuring out what works for your body, okay? And the intermediate stage is where you're sticking to your guns. You're sticking to what you have figured out in the first stage to really nail those goals. Getting yourself healthy, getting yourself more energy, getting yourself to the point to where you could do the things that you want to do. And yes, weight loss, that's a side effect. And if you guys haven't figured out that I think that weight loss is a side effect of being healthy yet, you need to watch the other videos. Towards the end of this intermediate stage, that's when we're going to start running into things like plateaus. And one of the best ways to prevent plateaus or get through plateaus is actually through carb cycling. So we've put our body in the ketogenic metabolism, we've been running that way for months and months, in my case, years, and in some other people's cases, decades. Okay? It is not a bad thing that every now and then you switch over to a glucose metabolism. There's actually a few benefits to that, and I'm not going to go into all the benefits of carb cycling right now, but one of the primary benefits is that it forces your body to work harder. If your body's gotten used to being in ketosis, and all of a sudden you're forcing it to switch to a glucose metabolism for 3 days, 4 days, and then you're forcing it to switch back, that's a whole lot of extra work. And what ends up happening is a lot of the times during that switch, you end up breaking through the plateau or stopping the plateau before it even happens. There's been a couple of times that I've done my cycling, I call it a purposeful deviation, right? And I put on 12 pounds in 3 days. Check out this video about purposeful cheating or purposeful deviation. So 3 days I put on 12 pounds. That's all water weight. It's just your liver getting bigger, and the inflammation coming from being on glucose again, right? But over the next 3 or 4 days, I lost all of that and more. I broke through the plateau that I had hit. Now, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to stay healthier. I'm trying to decrease my body fat percentage. I'm trying to decrease the visceral fat because that is healthier. But when it comes to my weight, I'm really more in a maintain phase. And that's actually the final stage of Dragon Keto, is the maintenance stage. This is where you are just maintaining the health that you've acquired. This is what allows you to stay on Dragon Keto for the rest of your life, because it's not strict. You're not sitting there staying in ketosis every day, year in, year out, because you don't need to. As I was just saying, doing carb cycling every now and then, once your body has gotten used to ketosis, once you have gotten used to ketosis, once you can 100% guarantee that you can get back to eating what you need to eat to get back into ketosis, it's actually perfectly fine and necessary. During these carb cyclings, going low carb, like what we've been talking about, is actually a really good plan. So until next time, Keto Clan, keto on.